Salutations, comrades. It has been a few weeks since I've been able to make a video. I've been very busy with doing research for activism-related purposes, research for work-related purposes. I am once again working as a sightseeing guide, and planning the 10th anniversary of, Occupy Wall Street, as far as the commemoration of it goes with the fellow Occupy alumni. I've also been generally recuperating from the trauma endured working for a monolithic, exploitive, corporate, low-price retail machine for 14 months of my life. All in the while, it has been brought to my attention that a channel called Socialism For All, with their 3,000 subscribers. Mind you, I have a lowly 138 subscribers, but it's quality, not quantity that counts. It's quality. And this Socialism For All person is in the process of slandering the alternative left and attempting to justify the course that is that the current mainstream left is on relative to the question between intersectionality and class essentialism, which Socialism For All terms as class reductionism, which has prompted me to stop what I'm doing to offer a rebuttal. According to Socialism For All, proletarian patriotism should go out the window. If such is the case, then we should have absolutely no reason to celebrate or even support the struggles waged by the likes of Thomas Paine, Sojourner Truth, John Brown, Victoria Woodhull, Frederick Douglass, Lucy Parsons, Harriet Tubman, Webb Du Bois, Clara Limlich. That's probably a name that Socialism For All hasn't even heard of, and I suggest he and many others who listen to him look Clara Limlich up. Paul Robeson, Claudia Jones, Rosa Parks, Muhammad Ali, Leslie Feinberg, and Cesar Chavez. All their efforts relative to fighting capitalism, imperialism, and slavery are all for naught, because at the end it's pointless to make life better for people living in the United States, because every person living in the United States is horrible, and they deserve to endure the end of the capitalist's whip for daring to demand equity and a better existence within an extremely flawed and racist country founded on the idea that we should not be ruled by monarchies, which is a fundamentally good idea, but all the other stuff notwithstanding. According to Socialism For All, MLK's statement, now our struggle is for genuine equality, which means economic equality, for we know that it isn't enough to integrate lunch counters. What does it profit a man to be able to eat at an integrated lunch counter if he doesn't earn enough money to buy a hamburger and a cup of coffee? That is not a statement of solidarity, according to Socialism For All. No, that's a statement of class reductionism. MLK was a closet red brown. Oh no, because MLK decided to prioritize deteriorating economic conditions and organize across the color line. Oh, the humanity. What about Father Gerard LeMountain? That's another person who Socialism For All's never heard of. Pastor of the Church of the Most Holy Crucifix, based in south of Houston neighborhood in New York City, Soho, with a neighborhood that was slated to be destroyed in the name of Robert Moses' vainglorious ego. Was Father LeMountain a red-brown when he organized in a coalition of Republicans, Democrats, artists, business persons, Catholics, Protestants, Jewish, atheists, liberals, conservatives, socialists, Puerto Ricans, African Americans, and the Italian mafia in the summer of 1962 in his effort to rally the community in halting the progress of the Lower Manhattan Expressway? Such a group consists of people who should and would otherwise be completely opposed to the existence of one another, but according to the infinite wisdom of Socialism For All, such a coalition is blasphemous and counterintuitive because such unites opposed peoples around, one specific existential community threat rather than divides people based on varying degrees of ethnic, racial, and sexual disputes that have occurred throughout history. Oh, the humanity! According to Socialism for All, Robert Moses would have been better off ramming through that highway and displacing everyone who lived in the neighborhood. Right? Then there is the subject of Chairman Mao, probably the most famous red-brown of them all for making an alliance with the nationalist Shanghai Shek as a means to drive the Japanese out of Manchuria. According to Socialism for All, there should have been no alliance whatsoever between the communists and the Kuomintang, and China should have just been carved up and ruled by the Japanese and Western puppet states, because that is the world that Socialism for All envisions. Right? Speaking of Chairman Mao, and I quote him verbatim from his Little Red Book, in the final analysis, national struggle is a matter of class struggle. Among the whites in the United States, it is only the reactionary ruling circles who oppress black people. They can in no way represent workers, farmers, revolutionary intellectuals, and other enlightened persons who comprise of the overwhelming majority of white people. Mao Zedong, August 8, 1963. The attitude of communists towards any person who has made mistakes in their work should be one of persuasion in order to help them change and start afresh, and not one of exclusion unless they are, incorrigible. As for people who are politically backward, communists should not slight or despise them, but should befriend them, unite with them, convince them, and encourage them to go forward. Mao Zedong, October 1938. Apparently, Socialism for All has not read nor does he understand Mao Zedong's theories. But then again, how can anyone expect for a contrarian Trotskyist to understand anything about organizing and coalition building when all they do is disparage and slander the organizers who do the coalition building? While most certainly there are indeed Strasserites within the left, look no further than those idiots who run the Smash Cultural Capitalism Facebook page. They are Strasserites. There is also the Pinko Blue Alliance. Leftists who cut down leftist organizers who are attempting to create coalitions against the institutional forces of austerity and privatization. For the past 40 years, this country and this world has been under the scourge of neoliberalism. Public services are defunded, trade unions are decimated, industries are outsourced, urban centers are gentrified, big box stores become the low-wage centers of economic development, and tens of millions of people of all races are trapped in an endless cycle of poverty as the divide between the rich and the poor grow by leaps and bounds year in and year out. How do the racially homogenous bourgeois neoliberals respond to this? This is the fault of systemic racism. Pay no mind to the policies of deregulation and austerity, that have undermined homogeneous middle America and destroyed heterogeneous urban America. This is all the fault of the KKK and Trump. Focus on them. Don't focus on any of the economic policies that will ensure that you live in a corporate dictatorship for the rest of your miserable life. How do lower income whites respond to this? They label everything that has happened over the course of the past 40 years not as a byproduct of free market neoliberal austerity economics and privatization. No, they call it socialism. After 6 decades of being indoctrinated to hate communism and associate white Anglo-Saxon Protestant Christianity with capitalism, they think the COVID-era policy decisions are being dictated by socialists when they are being dictated by privately owned big tech and privately owned pharmaceutical companies. They think that critical race theory is some socialist brainwashing when it was developed within the halls of bourgeois academia as a means to encourage the historically marginalized and oppressed under capitalism into embracing free market solutions as a means to resolve solve racial inequities. They voted for Trump expecting a quick fix to the problems that privatization policies have created. These policies, which were initially implemented by the Reagan administration, who these Republicans solely blame Clinton and Obama for, calling it socialism, failing to realize that they can't free market capitalism their way out of the deteriorating material conditions that free market capitalism created. But according to Socialism for All, these badly misguided, evil, racist, economically marginalized Caucasians are not worth reaching out to, not worth correcting, and certainly Socialism for All doesn't bother to correct people who think neoliberalism is socialism, and not worth organizing because there is no hope that they will ever get beyond their socially conservative sentiments to truly be revolutionary. And reaching out to them automatically sets off triggers for the foreboding red-brown alliance that Socialism for All warns about. They, and not the policymakers, corporate interests, and think tanks pushing privatization and Austrian economics as a basis to indirectly justify structural white supremacy while insincerely hiding behind the veneer of addressing structural racism via CRT. You know, the people who are reactionaries and working class whites are the true villains of our epic. Jay Sakai, eat your heart out. Socialism for All would rather have the Arkansas-based cult of Sam Walton exploit the shit out of racially, sexually, and ethnically divided proletarians, trapping them in an endless cycle of low-wage poverty and destroying their lives and the lives of their children, than, see a racially, sexually, and ethnically unified proletariat destroy the cult of Sam Walton and reclaim the profits from all of their stolen time and all of their stolen labor. The people united can never be defeated is a mantra that Socialism for All and pushers of libertarian and free market economics do not believe in. Socialism for All would much rather undermine, slander, and derail organizers who have been on the streets for years doing this, long before he came up with his shitty YouTube channel, who attempt to formulate multi-ethnic coalitions, and of which such coalitions include long brainwashed, long misguided white conservatives who are slowly beginning to figure out how badly neoliberalism is fucking them over, because Socialism for All is either a dull-witted reactionary who parrots what the postmodern radical liberals are saying, thinking it's socialism, or he very well damn knows what he's doing in his not-so-opaque attempt to sabotage socialist organizations from formulating as a means to turn the left against itself, as a means to protect the interests of the bourgeois, free market, 1% liberalism that is anti-socialist. Now, excuse me, I must return to planning the 10th anniversary commemoration of Occupy Wall Street. We are still the 99%, even if Socialism for All doesn't believe in saving the 99% from neoliberalism. I do, and this fight that we started 10 years ago in Zuccotti Park is a fight that is far from finished, and the defenders of neoliberalism best stay the hell out of the way of the people who are actually doing the work, lest they be exposed for the charlatans they really are. This is Comrade Pella, signing off.